I have no better friend in this world than Burns Landess, and it is my genuine pleasure to pay tribute to him with this presentation. Burns, a Memphis native, was the youngest child of 4 and grew up in a very blue-collar neighborhood. An interesting fact, Burns' family did not have a car until Burns was in the 10th grade. Burns blossomed when he went to then Memphis State College, where he met the love of his life, Nan, who he refers to as a campus beauty. And Burns, as you would expect with his gregarious nature, was involved in all type of social activities within his fraternity, planning events, dances, and so forth. And Burns was quite the dancer, and his specialty was the bop. After graduating, Burns went into the Air Force and then began working at First National Bank, which is now First Tennessee Bank, and became a branch manager. After a stint at the bank, Burns began selling life insurance, which ultimately led him to founding his own company, Financial Focus, a financial advisory service with over 300 clients. Burns has repeatedly said that it's hard work being in that business because no one comes to you. You have to go out and beat the bushes and find your own clients. Burns had an epiphany approximately 19,000 days ago in his early 30s. He was a faithful churchman. He taught Sunday school. He was a faithful husband and a stellar father. Burns began to feel something was missing in his life, and he decided to begin reading a chapter of the Bible every day, a practice that has gone on now for 50 years. On January the 1st, he began reading Matthew, and in April, by that time, he had gotten to Romans, and this began to really impact him, for Romans is his favorite book in the Bible. On January the 1st, Burns began reading Matthew, and by April, he had reached Romans, and this is where it really began to impact him because Romans became his favorite verse. The combination of high energy, outgoing personality, and his complete reliance on the Almighty, in my opinion, make Burns one of the most ecumenical men in all of Memphis. Although raised in the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, in his early 30s he joined Christ Methodist Church and became a member of the Kingswood Sunday School class. His teacher was the future governor and good friend Winfield Dunn. Burns and Winfield used to eat regularly at the Bunton Cafe for conversation, and one day he announced to Burns that he was thinking about running for governor. The rest is history. At his inauguration, when he took the oath of office, Winfield had his hand on a Bible that was given to him by the Kingswood class. And shortly after joining Christ Methodist in November of 1966, Burns was both challenged and affirmed when Dr. Tom Shipman invited him to participate in a lay witness mission retreat. Burns served as a transportation chair. At that time, Burns' involvement, as we've already mentioned at Christ Methodist, consisted of teaching Sunday school. Burns and Nan would play bridge on Saturday night till midnight. Then Burns would get up early on Sunday morning to prepare his Sunday school lesson. Spirituality was then put back on the back burner until the next Sunday morning. And now for the most important part of this tribute, how Burns has impacted me. First, until his recent illness, Burns would pick me up at 5:58 on Friday mornings and drive me to Christ Methodist for prayer breakfast. As you would expect, Burns dominated the conversation both to and from prayer breakfast. Second, he introduced me to authentic manhood. And the focus of authentic manhood is to help men become better husbands and fathers. And for those not familiar with authentic man, there are 4 guiding principles. We are called to reduce passivity. We're called to lead courageously. We're called to accept responsibility and to lean on a higher being, or as I like to phrase, invest our lives spiritually. And anyone who knows Burns Landess, those 4 attributes apply to Burns. Now for the most important thing that Burns has done for me. You will remember for the last 19,000 plus days, or 50 years, Burns would wake up early in the morning, 1, 2 o'clock, and spend 2 to 3 hours reading his Bible and praying. Now, my protocol in exercise is to get on the treadmill for 40 minutes every day. And typically what I did when I was on the treadmill was watch reruns of Gunsmoke and In the Heat of the Night. And then I decided to practice Burns's protocol. I cut off the television and I began praying for people by name and for any special needs that I may be aware of. And I guess you can realize what an impact that had on me. Finally, Burns has taught me the difference between a true friend and an acquaintance. Yes, we have many acquaintances, but very few friends. And Burns has defined a friend for me. A friend is someone who will not lie to you, someone who will not betray your trust, someone who will not play games with you, and someone, if you ask them, will tell you the truth. Thank you, Burns, for being my friend.